Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today's video, and even as you can see on the title, it's not something I was expecting. I am so sad because I really had high hopes, way higher hopes for this one. Even though I managed to get this advanced look, this was super challenging, mainly because there are some really important facts that you will see throughout this whole video, throughout this process of applying these eyeshadows. And if you stick till the end, I will explain everything. How it's possible that for 56 euros, we get the shade that no matter what you do, you can't do it. Basically, you can't do anything with this shade. With the brush, it's like it's not existing. Layering other eyeshadows is so hard. I will share the whole process and what went wrong with this palette and what are my final thoughts when it comes to this new Tarte eyeshadow palette. So stay tuned. We are having another exciting review, and it is new Tarte Maneater Nightfall Eyeshadow palette. This is supposed to be their holiday release if I am correct, and this eyeshadow palette has in total 24 shades, both warm and cool tones, 11 mattes, 9 shimmers, 3 lusters, 1 glitter. Also, they're infused with the Amazonian clay, which is supposed to help to have more impact, and also seamless blend. It also claims to have 12 hours of long wear, which in general, I do love for the eyeshadows to perform 24 hours when it comes to long wear. It is just my mindset from being makeup artist. No matter what is the occasion, I always want my makeup to last throughout the whole day. But hopefully the primer would help with that as well. And we are here to test this beautiful palette. This palette retails for $52, available now at Ulta and Tarte.com. I did purchase this one from their official website. But first, let's do swatches. So I did swatch first of, I think, 4 eyeshadows already. So let's go together and swatch the whole palette. Fascinate, Sly, Catnap, and I don't know how to pronounce this one, Mischief. This one is pigmented. Then we have Smaller and Alpha. And the matte eyeshadows, they actually they feel like they are quite dry. I don't know, they don't have feel like the other high-end eyeshadows that I usually tend to use. But regardless, I'm looking forward to try this eyeshadow palette, and I'm always trying to make the most out of it. Yes, these masks, they do feel quite dry, but I'm not gonna say anything until I try this palette. So here we have one that is this is actually glittery shade Desirable, and I am really drawn onto this shade. Is this like, it does have some shift from golden yellow to some rose tone. It's nice. Then the other one is Pamper. Then we have Frisky and Ferocious. So this is Frisky, this is Ferocious. I don't know, I'm just not too crazy about this brown shades, warm shades. Minx and Tease. This shade right here is super harsh. When I swatched it, it is, can you hear this? It is super harsh. But then Minx is super buttery, and it's really pigmented. And now let's watch the last 2 rows. Oh, these feel much more smoother, the cool tones. I'm not too crazy about first 2 rows, except for Desirable shade, honestly. Okay, this, and I swatched this on on the wrong side. It doesn't matter, I can do it right here. So, shade Pons. Oh, it's really light. That's good. But it's really, for the matte, it's super soft. Then we have 9 Lives. This swatch is so bad. Okay. I don't know, it's sheer. Then this one, Nightfall. I love this shade. This is like a sparkle version of the Midnight Chaos palette from NYX there is one particular shade that I absolutely love from that palette. Intrigue, Wild and Captivate. So this is Intrigue, it's a pretty shade. Well, it doesn't swatch like, yeah, it doesn't swatch like these other shades. Then we have Wild. Oh, this is stunning, so I'm definitely gonna use this one. And then we have Captive. How dark can you get? I hope you can get more dark than this. I am definitely into this row and this one that I'm going to swatch right now. So first we have Pause Off. Then we have Sizzle, and then we have Vixen, Passionate. Oh, these mattes, they look kind of chunky. I know these are a little bit harder to formulate. Mysterious and After Dark. I'm sorry for the swatches, they are not the best, but here they are. I am so sad to say that as I was trying this color story now, I had the hardest time just trying to blend and just to find proper color story for what I want. I didn't try it on my eye, just here on my lower lash line. I was trying to test the color. That's what I usually do when I'm trying to create a certain color story. Anyways, the way they swatched, well, it wasn't good. So I just hope I won't have that much issues while creating this look. And fun fact, today I did decide to do advanced makeup look with this palette. So I'm starting off with the shade Pounce, and let me tell you how happy I am that we do have this bright shade in this palette, and you can make versatile color depth when you do have shade like this, and this is something that I always appreciate in the palette. So this one goes right underneath my eyebrow, and no matter how much I apply it, what am I not supposed to blend this? To make opacity shown on my skin? I know at the moment it looks bright, like really bright. I also wish we have matte version of Mysterious as well. After Dark is way deeper than this one. I'm starting off with the shade Vixen. Come on, please be pigmented. We do have pigment, but the question is how it's going to blend. I'm holding my breath. See, this is where I apply lighter shade. Now we're going to blend this one into light. And please blend. Oh, just because the way this eyeshadows swatched, I'm really skeptical about blending, but we'll see. Since I am creating just one look, I do tend to use at least 10 eyeshadows today, more or less. Okay, here it's working good. Go with the shade Pounce again. Around the edges of this shade. And we do have quite a fallout as well. But before that, let me just, because of the transition, I do want to use this shade right here. And one thing that is my first impressions when it comes to color story, even though it does seems we do have a lot of options in this palette, I was struggling honestly to combine certain undertones. Like we do have a lot of options, but at the same time, if I'm doing certain color story, I don't have everything that I need. So this palette also could be divided in two different palettes: cool tones, warm tones. So the first two rows having different options between them, and the second two rows having another different options between them. That's what I would like for this palette to have. Now I'm going to grab this beautiful shade Mysterious, and I'm going to place that. I'm sorry, but my camera turned off. Anyways, I'm taking smaller brush and applying shade Wild on top of the previous one, which was After Dark. This one is supposed to be a bit lighter, shimmery. Usually I wouldn't use shimmer here. It acts like a hybrid between matte and shimmer. Now I'm going in again After Dark, and once I cut my crease, I will see what else I have to emphasize, where I do have to add a bit more color if necessary. Now I'm gonna go and take Vaseline, and now I will cut my crease. I will just make this edge of this line a little bit sharper. Not going too high so that I don't mess up my work, and gonna take Q-tip and clean one step at a time, and I will add later. I will add more of a base. It is okay if this takes you a long time. For me, creating looks like this takes me the most time, just because you do need to be really precise. And this is how my line looks like now. Once it's clean, it's gonna be even more sharp once I add my base. Let's continue. I did take some time to figure what I'm gonna do on this eye, and this is not done lower lash line. This is fallout. And usually you heard me say, I don't care that much about fallout, I do care about the quality. Well, in this case, I do care about fallout, because look what happened. Like this is truly too much. I'm really pushing limits with this palette, especially I'm using matte shades like 90% of the time. This is so not easy to blend. This is shade Pond's, and I did use my P. I had to go a little bit with the Acid Rain collection. This is Blank Canvas. So I did apply that to clean my line that I already have. So now what I'm gonna do next, and I do wanna refresh my base again a little bit. So I'm using Pat McGrath's primer on the inner corner, and I will start by applying lighter shades. So this is shade Sly, and I'll have to say these lighter shades, like, they're good. I'm not mad at them, especially this lighter one is performing really well when it comes to opacity. You have to pack it really well though, but that's what I loved. Now this is shade Pond's, and that one goes right into my inner corner. See how bright this one is? It is truly bright. But rather than blending, you have to pack the eyeshadow, in this case, to get this opacity. Going back with the shade Sly. And now a shade that I've used, but it's performing, out of them all, it's performing the worst. And it is this shade 9 Lives. I really thought when I look at the opacity, it is really bright, but once it's on your eyelids, it is so dry, and I'm having such a hard time to apply this with a brush. So instead I'm gonna go in with my finger. So first time when I tried it here, I truly, and you can see how much fallout I had from my brush. So again, I do have to use my brush. I cannot just leave it like this, you know? So I'm going to use small pointy brush, and see when I go with the brush, look what happens. It's like a dust. It just wipes off itself. Look, isn't that crazy? I'm sorry, but I'm shocked. Let me try a little bit. Fixing spray. So for this price point, this is not something that should be happening, but then I have to work my way around it. And combining brushes, take my time, go back and forth, and it's just not worth it. Look, even when I swatch these mattes, they do feel different. So a couple of them, one of them being this one that I'm applying right now, it felt a little bit creamy, and I thought, oh, this one is going to be easier to blend, but not really. It looks like the drier ones are performing better. 9 Lives and Wild combined together are going to give me this shade, and I'm going in. This is too much of a blue, and I am going in with this shade. Well, I still have to fix this. I don't know, I think it took me 10 minutes just to put that shade right here. I never usually do a wear test when it comes to... I would rarely do a wear test when it comes to eyeshadows. In general, with a good primer and waterproof products and MC liners underneath, I know for a fact like it's going to stay for the most part. But this is really questionable. I think I even put my finger here when I wanted to like lift a little bit my eye, and I think I wiped off a little bit of the pigment. Now I'm gonna go in with the shade After Dark and Mysterious, but I'm using flat, or you can use your regular eyeliner brush to map where my line is gonna go. So here with the brush, look how fallout I did have. And now with my fingers, well, at least for now it's good now. I still have to wait to apply the darkest shade. But again, I do not want to apply this with my finger. And I'm going into shade Passionate. This is an SMRX silicone brush. I'm going in with the darkest shade After Dark, and I'm going 100% with the pigment. Also with the fallout, I would say. We'll see. Now I'm going in with the shade Mysterious, but I did realize that once I put fixing spray on it, it looks way better, and it does have a little bit of luminosity. These shimmers on their own, they don't have that much luminosity. You do have to add up fixing spray for that. Nothing too crazy. And I'm gonna go in with the shade Wild. Just trying to connect everything. Okay, now I'm using shade Wild on the edges, and gonna mix it again with Nine Lives. I really don't like this shade, but it's the only one I can use for this type of transition. And I'm not even mixing two mattes, it's a shimmer and a matte. Well, it's not too shimmery, so I guess it's fine, but it's far from perfect. Anyways, you remember we did apply lighter shade before, and I'm going to connect everything if I can. Again, going in with the shade Pons. I just remembered I did apply a little bit of After Dark here. Before I continue, let me just get rid of this fallout. If you're using this particular eyeshadow palette, I wouldn't recommend for you to have your base on. Let's continue. So I already done my lower lash line here, and I am happy how it looks like and how it went. So I will repeat that on the other side. So right here I have my Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer, and this is too much. I already put black liner in my upper waterline. So I'm just going to spread this to even everything out. Also, I do have Pat McGrath's base on my lower lash line, but since it is clear, you can't even see that it's here. Now I wanted to create a custom liner, so I'm gonna take this shade right here from Pat McGrath's eyeshadow palette with a little bit of Inglot's Duraline to make a custom shade for the liner. You can use any other eyeliner that you have, and this is like a dark burgundy shade, and I'm not gonna go all the way. I will stop somewhere around here and will apply that liner like so. I'll just make sure my whole waterline has been covered. I'm taking really small, precise brush for this. I wish we have shade like this in this palette. It will go really nicely with the rest of the look. I'm also gonna use some black canvas because this one can stay in my waterline and also will make this sharper. Since this is a little bit too light, I will just remove the excess. First, I'm going to start with this shade right here. Again, I really appreciate we are having this shade so light in this palette. And I'm gonna mix the same shade with this one because that will give me a little bit of a bright pink undertone. I truly wanted to go with the shade Desirable, but Honestly, I was afraid it's going to ruin the rest of the makeup because the transition was so hard to get. Moving into shade Passionate. These two are really nice combination, Vixen and Passionate. Right now I will put some eyelashes and I will finish the rest of my face, and I am dreading to come back with the final thoughts. And here we are. This is final look. I am kind of impressed considering shadow performance. I am super impressed how everything turned out. We still can see some of the flaws, especially the 9 Lives shade was the worst. So when I swatched it did swatch color-wise. It swatched really pretty good in opacity, but as soon as I started to applying it, let alone layering it on top of the other eyeshadow, it is shocking. So one thing that I truly don't understand is, how do I even say this? Unless this is some factory mistake, how it's possible that for 56 euros we get the shade that no matter what you do, you can't do, basically you can't do anything with this shade. With the brush, it's like it's not existing. Layering other eyeshadows is so hard. Like I can see the patches on my eye. Honestly, I don't know how I've done what I've done. I don't know, maybe these brown middle tone shades perform better, but for this price, unfortunately, I'll have to say it doesn't justify, not even close, it doesn't justify the eyeshadow quality for the price that we pay. But not only in the performance, but also in a color story. Like I mentioned before, I believe this could be divided either in 2 palettes or being arranged differently when it comes to depth and certain color story, because I do believe, even though this looks and it is really colorful, there are certain shades that I'm truly missing, or I would exchange some of these shades for some others, whether being metallic or matte. And also what occurred to me is that this palette is not beginner friendly. So if you are a beginner in a makeup, this is definitely something that I wouldn't suggest for you to kind of start your journey. But again, it's good to experiment with different formulas. But as a makeup artist, would I use this type of formulation? No, I wouldn't. So I cannot believe I'm saying this, but actually when it comes to that, if you're a beginner or even if you're a pro in doing professional makeup, unfortunately, when it comes to this palette, I wouldn't suggest this particular palette. I did skip on Maneater palette last year. Let me know if you tried that one. What was your experience with that one? And I also tried to combine, in the meantime, I tried to combine this beautiful shade Desirable, but when I tried to layering on top of this minty shade and going towards this lighter, it's just I was scared to even swatch it fully on top of it. It was just leaving some as a top or some just glittery cast. But when I look at the shade like this, it's really pretty, and it was one of the first shades I wanted to do something with, but ended up just doing what I did because every next step that I've done, I wasn't sure what's gonna happen whenever I blend something, and that is not something that I don't think any of us enjoy, you know. So I would love to hear your experience if you try this palette. What is your experience? And again, if you are on the edge of buying this palette, again, this is extreme example of what you can get with this one. I've done advanced and really hard makeup look to get, but at the same time, you can definitely, as you see, you can get this result, but the process is what bothers me. In a process, you really have to pay attention. What you could see throughout my tutorial, I've used a lot of small brushes. I was even struggling to take a blending brush and to blend something. So these eyeshadows in particular, they do work the best if you are just patting the eyeshadows, which is not the whole purpose of the eyeshadows to pat them. The eyeshadow also has to have ability to be blendable, not only just to have a pigment by adding the eyeshadow, patting the eyeshadow to layer it. Anyways, I'm gonna finish off this video. This was definitely not something that I was expecting to finish off this video like this, but it is honest review and it is what it is. I know this is only my first impressions, but we do have some of the facts, and unfortunately they are not good no matter how many times I do repeat this. So I will leave this video with that, and guys, I will see you in my next one. But before you leave, make sure to watch this one. I'll see you soon. Bye.